Hello and welcome to the BGCP Disassembled podcast, the official podcast of the Big Glasgow Comic Page, where we talk about the latest comics, movies, television, and other pieces of nerd culture. I'm your host for this episode, Massimo and on today's wonderful World's Weirdest Superheroes and Other Things special, we are joined by a very rough Daniel Boyd, as you can see by the sunglasses he's wearing, for audio listeners and for obviously video listeners as well.
Massimo is hosting because Dan Boyd is unable to host.
and making his second podcast appearance, but his first as a host, it's the damn good David Cranna.
Hello.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen. He's back again.
Hopefully with a vengeance.
Hopefully a vengeance, this time better than ever. No, so on today's episode, we are basically talking about the world's weirdest superheroes, and we're going to be drawing from I believe, a top 15 super lame, the 15 most useless superheroes in comics from CBR, which kind of are kind of basis for this. But yeah, no. How's everyone doing? I think we should probably say that, other than Dan being extremely rough.
Hold on, I'm going to try something. How is this? Okay.
He's always...
When you said last night or the night before, Dan, I'm going to a gaff on Saturday night, being an old guy like I am, I had to double check what a gaff was. A gaff just a house, and I realised, you young whippersnappers, a gaff is a party.
It's got a house party. That's it, going empty.
It was actually in here. It was the last party before we all move.
Oh,
so
right.
It's a moving out party. I love that.
Aye, and there was a big garden thing, and it was good. It was a good night, man.
Trash the place.
Pretty much, but they're all cleaning up while I'm doing this, so it's all right.
So if Dan has to go spew off when we're talking about like Matty Land or something like that, or any of those arm fall off boys, just know it's for good reason. Today's episode, that's what we're going to be talking about. Also, we'll be obviously, as we always do, recapping the news, and we'll be talking about Loki episode 3, as long as everyone's seen that. If not, who knows? So to kick things off, are we want to just jump straight into the list, or you want to talk about your own stuff that you guys have been doing throughout the week?
I don't know if you would just want to talk about how dumb superheroes are in general, but how it's amazing that they've managed to somehow make them dumber.
Yeah, that's very true.
Just looking at this list here, I didn't look last night that you guys put up. I mean, the first guy is hysterical. What's his name? What's his name? Sorry, the guy can take his arms off.
Arm fall off boy.
Arm fall off boy. I mean, how could I not know that that's what his name was? I mean, that's...
Well, he is getting a non-screen appearance in Suicide Squad.
Is it not Nathan Fillion?
Nathan Fillion is arm fall off boy in the James Gunn Suicide Squad film, yeah.
Well, that would make sense because the Suicide Squad is a kind of a piss take anyway. So you see him fitting into that.
They done Starro, do you know what I mean? Like,
that's the main villain. And,
I think the most disturbing thing about Arm Fall Off Boy though is, see when he takes his arm off, the stump just looks wrong. Like, what is that? That's what I'm struggling with here.
It's so pink and fleshy as well for an alien.
It's odd, man.
It's almost like you kind of want to poke it though, just.
But you don't know if you get bit, like.
You don't know what sort of diseases are in there, man.
Conversation with that stump or what?
Like, he must have. I thought open wounds like bred infection. He must have so.
Right, he must have a bad sealing factor as well, right? Like, like an underneath superpower.
It is weirdly bloodless. So I'll say that.
To imagine that's what's into the Suicide Squad film. It's just
squirting blood as he's going, like a Tarantino film. Most likely.
Just high pressure hose of blood.
I mean, it's the pink leotard as well, and just the weird spiky arms. Like,
I mean, I don't know if you'll put up an image of him, Dan, in the
I will. I can do it
because I feel like the audience really needs to be as scarred as we are at this weirdly.
See, to be honest though, I think his kind of main threat is how weird he is. Like, see if you were a villain and this superhero runs up to you and you're like, oh no, and then he pulls his arm off, you'd be like, that'd be so freaky, man. Like, that's his main kind of power, I think. Just to
who are you to stop my master? What the fuck are you doing?
That's fine, take him.
You wonder who thinks of this and then who okays it.
I know, that's the thing. This is went through editors and stuff, yeah. Like,
Oh yeah,
And
that's a good
I
idea.
believe he's
Yeah.
in continuity, DC continuity as well. Because I think he's still part of the current Legion of Superheroes team.
Oh no.
Who was he? Who was he a villain for? Was he a Justice League villain?
No, he was a hero. He was a Legion of Superheroes
Oh
hero,
God, so he is.
I believe.
So
Yeah.
I know very little about him. Just actually reading it just
Yeah,
now.
yeah. I know him because I know him for the cartoon and stuff they done back in the day, the Legion of Superheroes cartoon.
Right.
No, yeah, but he existed in the pre-Zero Hour continuity. Or what I think he's still.
Listen, I won't normally say this about DC, but thank God they retconned him out. Maybe the six reboots was worth it. I figured rid the arm fall off. Boy.
Oh no, it exists. It exists in the post-Zero Hour continuity, but he's called Splitter.
Ah, that's not as good.
And
Well,
all of
it's
his limbs
better,
can
but-
come off. His legs and his arms fall off.
At least it's a bit more imaginative.
That sounds very Monty Python. Like if it's got no legs and the arms and he's just lying there as a head, that's like the Black Knight for the Holy Grail.
Oh man, that's It is very Monty Python of them. So if we're going based on the list, right? Number 15. I feel like this is a bit harsh, by the way. In number 15 position, because it's X-Men's own Jubilee.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mass. I think.
See, I think the thing about Jubilee is our power is it could be kind of dumb, but I like the character. So
Oh no, the character's great.
do you know what I mean? I think that's the thing. Like fireworks, okay, it's a bit silly, but she's a good character, so it kind of gets a pass.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I suppose if you're talking about the worst superheroes, but to have her underneath or close to arm fall off, I think for sure.
I guess the qualifier for this would be it's the weirdest powers rather than worst.
Yeah.
So it's more powers that aren't necessarily have a utility when you think about it on the surface.
To be fair, I don't know if you've ever had a firework fired at you, but
I was going to say, yeah,
that's scary.
Aye, it's not something you want.
No, it's definitely not.
It's not like plasma beams as well. It's like really similar to Gambit's power.
Yeah,
like, it's
I think so.
Based off kinetic energy. Like, okay, I get our outfits like painfully nostalgic of the 80s and that, but like,
That's cool.
yeah, I like it, and I feel like I don't know how old this article is, but like they say in it, but let's be honest, she spent most of the time relegated to the role of Wolverine's sidekick or forgotten nobody. That her irrelevance is all but incurable. I think in recent stuff she's become more and more.
This article is for 2016, so it's 5 years old.
That's what I can say. Because in the last 5 years, they made Jubilee a vampire at one point. They made her have a child. She was one of the leaders of the X-Men, I believe, at some point as well.
Yeah.
And some of the newish continuity that Marvel done after Secret Wars and stuff like that.
Robert Kirkman wrote a solo Jubilee comic. I don't know if you've read that.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Right,
it's not good. It's poor.
What I'm saying is, maybe underutilized is probably the best way you could probably say the Jubilee is, because, as you said, having a firework fired at you is probably. It's nothing to not be reckoned with.
You know
Yeah.
It's just regular teenage antics down the park, is it not?
Just walk through Penny Lane a dark night, aye.
That's pretty much what it's like down the Vale even.
Walking home.
There's firecrackers everywhere.
So the next one on the list is Mr. Immortal. I'm a wee bit confused. How is this not just Deadpool?
Right, so I know a bit about Mr. Immortal because back in my days before I was a podcaster and stuff like that, I loved to do deep dives on superhero Wikipedia.
Okay.
And he was a guy who he basically can die, but every time he comes back with a bloodlust and rage.
Right. And it gets worse every time.
Yeah. So he's just not right.
At this point, he must just be a psychotic rage machine. Like
so what he is he doesn't have any powers other than being immortal. So he's not like Wolverine where he's got a healing factor.
Right.
So he breaks a bone, it's still going to heal at a fairly normal rate. I think he's got slightly enhanced powers, but it's not like pure Wolverine or Deadpool-esque where he's like, cut your arm. Yeah, if he loses an arm, it will heal back, but he has to die first. That regenerates his body.
That's really dark. That's kind of like what's that Tom Cruise film, Edge of Tomorrow? And at one point, he ends up, I can't remember if his arm's trapped, and there's a car coming towards him, and he just kind of kills himself so that he can come back and do it again. So I guess it's a similar idea.
Well, he was originally the leader of the Great Lakes Avengers, and also the kind of West Coast stuff. So he can't die, obviously. And the way he discovers his power is he discovers the skill after several suicide attempts,
Yeah.
and eventually decides to make it. Yeah, right.
Is this an old character? I would imagine.
He isn't that old, I don't believe. Mr.
Really?
Immortal, I believe he's still in continuity
This
as well.
does not sound like it would be a thing in the last 10 years.
Earth 616, originally created in 1989, right?
Right. 89, okay.
But by the art that I'm looking at, looks like the late, because the art on his thing, he's the latest one that it has is 2016. He looks like it came from.
Yeah, but if the whole like him discovering his powers using suicide was a thing, in 1989 mental health wasn't as big a thing, so they could probably get away with it then.
Yeah.
True, very true.
Yeah.
But I believe the way how he has a partner, who is an alien. I can't remember her name. It's somewhere here, but she basically calms him down.
Right.
So causes him not to be a psychotic race. So it's like similar to, Ra's al Ghul going into the Lazarus pit madness, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very similar to that.
Yeah.
On the Marvel Power Grid scale, if you want to look at that, he has he's got basically slightly below average intelligence, I believe. Below average strength, or average strength, average speed. He's got a durability of 7. So he's up there.
Right.
He's up there with like the Hulk in that.
I'm sure he's very persistent. Like,
yeah,
it would be like every time. I suppose is that on the first Hellboy? Like every time he kills the monster, it keeps coming back, and he's like, "How many times did it kill you?" It's kind of like the villain's supposed to be with this guy. Like, how many times am I going to have to kill this guy? Like, it just keeps coming back.
So he's a mutant, by the way, and his like retroactive immortality. Mr. Immortal possesses the ability to automatically resurrect and heal from any death he suffers. The resurrection often occurs almost immediately. It appears that he no longer ages. He has also recovered from being shot, stabbed, drowned, crushed, exploded, poisoned, decapitated, irradiated, and incinerated. Death Urge has stated that Mr. Immortal is fated to be alive to see the end of the universe.
So he's just Kenny for South Park.
Yeah, Mr. Immortal can heal from any and all injuries upon death and resurrection. If he sustains a non-fatal injury, it will heal at a normal rate. So if he breaks his arm or it gets crushed or whatever, he literally, he has to kill himself to,
Wow.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he could be here until the end of time is quite an interesting storyline.
Yeah, you can maybe write that comic, see how, like a kind of apocalypse thing with him.
He just seems to kill himself each day, just like, it's the only person left on Earth, and he's just like,
over and over until
because that's the thing, man. When the sun explodes, right, and the Earth is kind of unlivable, he's just going to be floating about in space, suffocating forever.
The thing is,
that's really dark.
I'd say Marvel continuity, obviously they've got spaceships and stuff like that work, so we'd probably love to see the heat death of the universe.
Wow.
That's more the concept rather than the destruction of the Earth. The heat death of the universe is probably the bigger one, because if he escapes Earth, the name of the person who can calm him is a female superhero called Dinosaur, and if you want to look up a photo of her, she looks like a pterodactyl.
That makes sense.
And she can basically calm from his rages. But yeah, what an interesting and very, very, very I don't even know what to call it. I would say non-PC way of having a character who discovers his abilities through committing self-disclosure. Yeah. He also doesn't have any skills as well, which is the rest of the thing, and it's like he's a glorified and surly punching bag.
Yeah, he's just happy to be a punching bag.
Yeah,
it's literally just a human shield. They just fling him out and stand behind him.
I suppose for a writer, it would be a task if you were given that character and said, write a story, you'd be like, all right, okay, what do I do with him?
It's a normal dude.
There could be a benefit there.
Being in space and just constantly dying all the time. Write some seriously sick stuff for that.
Oh man,
not quite PC, but anyway.
I would say we've established he can basically survive everything. Like he could probably fall to Earth and probably come back to life. So if they shoot him into space, keep coming back.
To see what happens.
Okay, so the next one on the list at number 13 place is Doorman.
He makes doors, right?
Yep. Another member of the Great Lake Avengers. So, same team as Mr. Immortal.
Mate, what were they smoking when they wrote that comic?
I don't have much else to say. He utilises the power of the Dark Force dimension, of course, which is actually also used by other more useful superheroes, by Cloak and Darkstar and others. Yeah, he basically can just teleport things into the next room.
I mean, that would be useful when you're lying hungover and you're like, oh, I could pure go that can of juice and that packet of crisps that's downstairs. Vroom, yeah, you've got it. That would be handy, but that's kind of the extent of it.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, I mean, okay, later on he gets the ability to levitate, which is fine.
Wait a minute, does it have to be in the next room? Because surely if you can do it in the next room, you can do it in the same room. The teleporting thing.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know if it is. So he's able to okay, he says he's able to make gateways through solid objects.
Right.
So not necessarily the room, but if through a wall or whatever, it can also be.
So Vision can walk through walls, who cares?
This is exactly. He's a glorified lockpick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think they just make these superheroes just to get them out of a loophole, out of a plot hole, you know? Like, oh yeah, if he's a superhero, then he can do this and that's it.
Yeah.
Same as James Bond and his gadgets.
Yeah.
There's always a gadget for the exact scenario.
The exact situation, yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I think again it could be used really well and usefully, but it's just a bit.
I guess, like, if you think of Portal, the game, and you shoot the portal, you'd like throw things out in the next room. That could be an interesting concept, but
the issue with that though, as well, is that the again, it does. As I said, this is a universe where people can walk through doors and tear doors off their hinges and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's relevant to, like, in our world, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. In comic books, you're like, who cares?
Exactly. What is this? What is this man doing? Any of you guys want to grab the next ones that are kind of 7 down, the kind of the other positions? Oh my god!
So we've got Cypher is up next.
And he's like the multilingual person.
Yeah,
right?
So he can speak every language on Earth, including computer language, and those of more extraterrestrial bent. That actually seems like an alright kind of power, to be honest. Superhero wise, probably not the best, but if you're everyday regular dude, if you could cut about speaking every language on Earth, including computer, that's pretty handy.
But it would also be something that, in theory, you could probably just do yourself if you put enough time into it. Like, you don't need a superhero.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I guess he's just lazy that way, and
he's just got a subscription to like what's the wee owl thing? The
Duolingo.
Duolingo. He's just got a Duolingo subscription that he's just absolutely making the most of.
Yeah, this character was created way before apps were.
I was going to say the internet was very much. Oh man! Actually, do you know what I'll do? Right, I'll start doing this because I think it was quite fun. Is we'll have a look at the Marvel Power Grid rating.
Okay.
Which is on the official Marvel wiki page. Okay, so his intelligence is a 6. I believe the Power Grid is like between, I think it's 1 and 7. So 7 being the most, I believe.
Right.
But yeah, so he's got a 7 intelligence, he's got a 2 strength, a 2 speed, a 2 durability, a 1 energy prediction, and he's pretty good at fighting. So I guess he's an alright. Is he an X-Men?
So he's a smart guy.
A smart guy who can fight good.
He's you know what? He's the kind of guy that would just leave in the office, isn't he?
Yeah.
You just stay base. You stay base camp. We'll go and fight. We'll go and do the action, and you just email us.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you deal with like any sort of tech issues. You're a man.
Stuff, pal.
Exactly.
How's your word?
I mean, apparently he's had some cool superhero moments in the comics, though.
Yeah.
Could we get a couple of aliens and all that stuff? But as you said, overall, before apps, pretty impressive nowadays if you put your mind hard enough to it.
Very similar to Forge, I would actually think. You know, Forge from the X-Men.
Yeah.
The mechanic, basically. All he can do is fix all kinds of machinery.
Forge is super useful, though, because it could be almost any type of machinery, right? Yeah. Including, like, super powerful alien tech, where this guy's like, okay, I can understand the instruction manual. I don't know.
I'll use instructions, big man. You go.
Put any practice. I don't understand. Yeah, fair
enough. Right, Dan. Who we got next?
Next, we've got Dazzler. Who
I think I disagree with this, to be honest.
Somebody said I think Dazzler, in terms of the powers, I don't think it's that dumb because it's kind of something like a Banshee, right?
Yeah.
But but it's the theme, I guess. It's the disco theme and the fact that she's a pop star and the roller skates, and that's kind of dumb. But it was also a very of the time when she was written. Do you know what I mean? That was the thing. That was like what was in the charts, what was in the TV. So I don't know. She's fine. Like her power's quite good. Her costume and her theme's a bit dated, I guess. But
I guess they've reinvented her fairly recently, though, as well, haven't they? Like
I'm sure they have.
I think recently they've made her more of a, as I said, more of a pop star rather than a disco
Yeah.
character. Hang on, I'm just going to the 616 wiki. Yeah, like if you look at a costume now, it's more actually reminiscent something like Captain Marvel than disco person.
Yeah, I mean the photo they've put in this
Starlet.
article is like the disco version of her, but yeah.
Is she still there? Is she still in the universe?
I'll have a look. I don't think there's a last appearance dated at the moment. I think. I believe she's still within continuity as well.
Did I hear a rumor that she was maybe going to appear in in a Marvel spin-off show?
I think it was when they were doing all the spin-off shows before the Fox Disney merger. I think.
Oh, right.
Netflix of things.
Yeah, it's one of those ones like Hulu or Netflix. I'm pretty sure.
To be fair, now that Disney own Fox and X-Men, I think it'll be a while before we see Dazzler. I think they're going to get through Wolverine and Cyclops and stuff first.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, she joined the Avengers at one bit as well. So
who hasn't at this point?
Yeah, I was going to say.
The janitors joined the Avengers.
You over there with the mop. We need you.
Might as well.
The invincible mop man.
He's probably on this list somewhere.
Exactly. In terms of the power grid, fairly average intelligence, slightly below average strength, fairly above speed, slightly better durability. Actually, weirdly enough, only a 4 for energy projection, even though that's our whole power set.
Yeah, that's weird.
And fighting skills 3. So all in all, pretty sizable threat as well. Especially if you can blind your enemies. It's a pretty good use of the power, to be honest.
I mean, just wear sunglasses.
God damn it!
Every Sunday morning, Dan's immortal to it. Have you had a wee peek at the next person?
I have. Right. First of all, what is going on in that drawing?
I was going to say, hang on, right?
And that panel, look at the art, it's crazy.
It's crazy. I have just read the first paragraph there. In the last line. The only problem, she can only do so when she is very, very drunk.
Oh, no.
I mean, her name's Gingini, to be fair.
Oh,
Gingini.
I mean,
Beach Parker. I was a member of Ecstatics, a group of mutant superheroes who were more preoccupied with becoming rich and famous than doing anything altruistic, like saving the world. Gingini's thing was that she was capable of, what the hell is that? Say seismokinesis. Seismokinesis, or the power to generate seismic vibrations.
Here's the thing. Only recently, 2001.
2001?
2001.
2001. X-Force 116 to July 2001 is her first appearance, and her death is in X-Force, also 116 in July 2001.
Oh, okay.
She was one issue appearance.
Did she die of alcohol poisoning?
I don't know. I'm kind of interested, to be honest.
Did they ever tell you how she discovered her powers? Was it
going on a fucking absolute bender, Dan?
Just like a night in Ibiza, and she just started to shake the place. That was going on.
This is some fucking rave. No, do you notice something as well? Most of these, if not all of them so far, have been Marvel characters.
No, aye, few DC, but aye. The other thing as well, man, just how. Imagine, you need to get out of a situation, right? And you grab a bottle and pass it to this lass. You're like, here, get it, didn't you?
So,
what?
The force of her seismic blasts are actually concurrent with her blood alcohol content.
Oh, man. Oh. So you just always have to have miniatures on you, just ready to go.
Some aye, that's it.
Shots.
Oh man!
There's a world-ending threat coming. Let's go to the shot bar.
God, that's a bad one. Right, here's another DC hero that's in number 9 position, Color Kid. Right, so
I like how his outfit matches his head.
Oh man. Oh, look at that. Very pointy.
Yes,
Very pointy, man. Oh,
He looks like a
Jesus.
big daily triangle.
It looks animation, actually. Is that animated?
So this one is from the Legion of Superheroes TV show
Right, yeah.
that debuted years and years and years ago. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It had this weird anime style, and it had like the Legion basically went back in time, grabbed a young Superman, and pulled him forward in time, and he had a bunch of adventures. It's actually really good. Dealt with a lot of series themes at the time, but yeah, this guy appeared, and I think his appearance was in the episode or something like that, I believe was the episode Lightning Storm of the TV show, but I don't actually know if he's well, goes quite far back in the comics as well.
So what's the thing? What does he do? He just
Uh,
fires.
So he
Fires.
changes the colour of things.
Okay. I guess that's handy for interior design.
So okay. So
What's the point?
So born on the planet Lupra, Ulvac, who's the name of Colour Kid's real identity, got his powers when he was hit by a beam of colourful light from another dimension while working in a science lab. The accident imbued him with the ability to change the colour of any object, no matter how big or small. Thus, he became known as Colour Kid.
Okay.
That's great.
So, here's an interesting one, by the way. Due to the fact, on at least one occasion, we're also able to change the chemical makeup of the object. Thus, he was able to help save Superboy and Supergirl from a deadly kryptonite cloud because he could change the colour of kryptonite.
Of course.
And its chemical makeup.
And then
this was
Abbott.
the
back in-
60s, 70s.
Back in the day, Green Lantern's weakness was yellow, right? You should have just brought this guy with him, turn everything green, you're sorted. I think this guy's the most useless so far.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't-
He should have had the number one spot so far.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? And this is the thing, 'cause I remember watching this episode when I was younger, but in the episode, there's this character called Stone Boy, who his ability is to turn into a stone statue and do nothing else, don't ask. Basically, he like falls over, lies down, and Colour Kid turns him invisible because he
Right.
controls the light spectrum. So someone trips over him. So I feel like and knocks the head and gets knocked out, whatever it is. It's a kids' TV show. But the thing is, as well, I think, is that the very stupid power set, but see if you use it right, it could actually be something quite interesting. Like, you could make things invincible, you could change the chemical makeup of stuff because it's not just the colour. But as you said, as a base idea is pretty fun.
And also, can I just say, the whole reason that they gave Sue Storm the ability to fire projection and do the psychic stuff is because just turning invisible is a crap power. Like, you need to have something else to go with it, and this guy doesn't. So,
I mean, I feel like with a talented writer, you could probably be quite good. Like what they did to is it Multiple Man? No, and that's the one.
Duplo.
The X-Men.
yeah.
X-Men. Yeah, Multiple Man. He was kind of a bit shitty, and then they kind of made
I
him better.
Wonder if we'll still get that James Franco Multiple Man film.
Nope. No. Dad, cut the feet. Cut the feet. Okay, this one's a weird one. NFL Super Pro.
I mean, this is just a business tie-in show. This is
That's exactly what it says, the top line there, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I mean, sure, it's a marketing ploy, I guess. His costumes kind of standard.
I feel there's not much else to be said about this other than it is, as you said, a big market employee.
Yeah.
His origin's quite interesting. So the guy's name is Phil Grayfield. So that's always a fun name.
I like it better when there's no motive for these dumb superheroes. Like, see, when I know there's a motive of money behind it, it totally ruins it, man. Yeah, it ruins the fun.
This makes it less about it coming straight from someone's stupid imagination and more about it just being a tie-in to some sort of weirdly, whatever it is, NFL tie-in for the whatever Super Bowl's happening that year.
Well, we move on because the next one's money related as well.
Sure.
Except this one is the almighty dollar, and he fires loose change out of his wrists.
Right.
He'd be great at a scramble.
I was going to say.
See, to be honest,
get him on the penny machines.
I'm so bad for carrying money. I'll just carry my bank card. So see, whenever I'm in a restaurant, I'm like, oh, I've not got a tip, and you go and lift money and split it. If this guy was with you, there you go, just fire down pennies.
So he also appeared in the same issue as NFL Super Pro.
I mean, okay, sure. I guess coins flying towards you again. You don't really want it, but I don't know. getting coined in the eye like a Rangers player.
You get imagine you're like the barista in his local coffee shop though, and you're like, oh, here comes this idiot again, and he's paying for his £3 coffee and pennies.
Hello.
Every day. You just oh mate.
Or when he comes into the bank and you have to give him the wee bags to put the coins in.
Mate, you would single-handedly wreck the economy, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he would.
But very, very slowly with pennies. So, yeah, speaking of Stone Boy, as we mentioned earlier on, here he is at number 6 position.
There he is.
Yeah.
Do you know, I actually don't hate the design. I think his face looks kind of...
Yeah.
A bit the thing, a bit... Yeah.
Part of the Legion of Substitute Heroes, a group of moderately powered super individuals who gathered together after being rejected from Legion superheroes, Stone Boy has one of the most literal names on the list. He's an alien from the planet Sven, whose inhabitants turned into stone in order to hibernate their way through 6-month-long winters.
Okay.
So,
nice.
He uses his abilities in very comical ways.
He basically can't move when he uses his stone thing to hibernate, and they just drop him on.
So his teammates would throw him at enemies.
Drop them on people's heads.
I mean, so he's just like the thing, but he can't move.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Man.
Hindsight, lads.
Oh, no.
Great. South Park not do something like this guy?
Must have, right? It feels like...
He does look like he looks like a joke character.
Yeah.
Like...
This was back in the days where you get away with joke characters. So he first appeared in the New Warriors annual. He would not become Hindsight until New Warriors 37, after he caught his neighbours and schoolmate, Robbie Baldwin, transferring to Super Alter Ego Speedball, who, if you know Speedball, you know comics, accidentally committed a bunch of child murders. If you know Civil War.
Oh, yeah.
New Warriors was the team that caused
that's
the big...
right.
Yeah, that's that
the
team.
Big explosion.
Yeah, that's Speedball. So yeah, that's a fun one to connect. God, Jesus. So he didn't have any superpowers.
So he
came up with the idea of helping the team by being able to point out any tactical errors they made during the battle after the fight was on.
That would be... I hate people like that, man. Oh, you should have done it like this.
Yeah.
Right, I want to see... What's his power rating? Hang on.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. So he's got a 4 intelligence, right?
Okay.
He's got 2 strength, 2 speed, 2 durability, 1 energy protection, and 2 fighting skills.
So... nothing really.
He's a massive fucking nerd. That's what it is.
He kind of looks. He looks like a character from Garth Ennis's Punisher run, not Punisher Max, the one before that. He kind of looks like something for that era of Garth Ennis being weird. I don't know.
I think they actually have a he is in recent continuity as well. Again. Try to find anything, the order stuff in the Marvel wiki.
Why would you bring any of these characters back? Like, other than for the meme, why would you bring any of these characters back? It's just...
well, I think
you had your chance to drop them.
So he's in Civil War. He is in Civil War.
Is he?
Yeah. Following the massacre and stuff for Connecticut, Carlton launched a website called Destroy All Warriors under the alias of blah, blah, blah. He unmasked individual members of the New Warriors by revealing the secret identities of personal fusion. Carlton blamed the New Warriors for the massacre in Stamford and hoped that by exposing some of them, that he could force the New Warriors to disband. Yeah. So he was basically he was a troll, turned him into a troll online, being called a self-proclaimed Marvelologist. Yeah.
Hindsight, lad. What a guy.
They basically made him a computer troll in the newer one in Civil War, but yeah, so there you go.
This next guy looks offensive.
No, right, so Bouncing Boy, right? Again, from that Legion of Superhero cartoon, has a pretty useful power set. But
go on, convince me.
If you want now, Dan, you read out what we got so far. You read out the origin, and I'll tell you.
Okay, he was an everyday scientist's gopher until he accidentally drank some of his employer's super plastic fluid while running an errand. He was supposed to be delivering the fluid to the Science Council when he stumbled across the Robot Gladiator tournament and decided to flake on his job and take in the action, as you do. Distracted by all the robot fighting, he absentmindedly drank some of the plastic, which turned him into a human Super Bowl bouncing boy. So, did he look like this before he drank it, or did this like transform into a ball shape, or was he just happened to be a ball shape and then he drank this bouncy stuff? Because that's serendipity. That's like if you're that shape, you should really be a bouncy ball. So, like, surely it must have transformed him into a ball shape.
So if you look at the wiki for it, in the animated version, he's like a heavier set guy.
Yes.
But he turns into a ball.
Okay.
Like, that's his ability. Like, he isn't, like, it's not as if he was a skinny guy who goes, like, into... It's not,
So-
like... Yeah.
So you see useful, Massimo? Just a fat guy coming towards you? Like, what do you mean useful?
Right.
Did your enemies just not kick him over the hedge?
What a big space hopper.
Just kick him on top of the roof?
Blah, 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 Circle Boy. His dimension remains the same. He becomes more dense, I guess?
And he must have some sort of like...
His
Like-
body's elasticity and resilience become extremely rubbery, allowing him to demonstrate many times over his body shape and rubber-like consistency as an effective ballistic weapon. He's a fucking rubber bullet.
He's a rubber bullet. Brilliant.
He's a big rubber bullet.
It's a big rubber bullet, basically.
How does he... I want to know how he like works up the momentum
So
to
here
be
you
a
go.
projectile. Does he just run? and,
Bouncy
like-
Boy can use his own muscles to maintain his velocity and power as he bounces, but his power also allows him a limited degree of invulnerability, since bouncing off walls and nearby objects have yet to injure him as they would a normal human being.
Right.
So there's your answer. Partly Danny just uses his muscles.
Okay.
He's
So-
definitely
Thanks.
the worst. Colour Boy is worse than he is.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, agreed.
Bouncy Boy said you could use him as a ballistic missile.
Yeah.
Just a weird looking one with a face.
Hey, what's that coming towards us, Captain? Ah! Big fucking screaming guy. Okay, so number 3. David, do you want to read this one out?
Okay.
I saw the head shakes.
The image here is just says everything. It's a matter eater lad. Of course, the world needed a superhero who literally ate his way out of his problems. A one-time member of the Legion of Superheroes, Tenzil Kem, is an alien from the planet of Bismal. Much like Stoneboy, Matter Eater Lad's powers are the result of his planet's inhabitants evolving in response to unexpected tragedy. When all of the food in Bismal became inedible, thanks to some pesky microbes, the Bismolians adapted by becoming able to eat and digest all matter. I mean, how long does it take him to do anything? We need to escape from here. And
Don't worry, guys.
Don't worry, guys. I'll just take my wee while. If I've not had any breakfast this morning.
Sorry, I had too much water on the way here. I've got water weight in my stomach. I can't. I'm too inflated this morning.
In addition to be able to keep down random objects he consumes, Matter Eater Lad can also analyse matter's contents, determine if it contains poisons, metabolize his food quickly in order to obtain super speed. Oh, well, there you go. And use a special Bismolian digestive enzyme in order to make tough materials like steel easier to consume.
Really, this guy should be the size of Bouncing Boy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He should be a wee fat guy.
I mean, to be fair, if he eats crazy things like fences and walls and radiators or whatever, if it makes him super fast, that's pretty cool.
I mean, I think, yeah, again, with a very talented writer, you could probably make him quite interesting as to, like, yeah, it could be really interesting. It reminds me of another hero. I don't know how well versed you guys are on any sort of anime or anything like that, if that's too nerdy for you to.
Nope.
There's a superhero anime show called My Hero Academia, and one of the characters is called Sugar Rush, and he basically gets his power by eating sweets. And the more sweets he eats, the stronger he gets.
I think my kids get that power.
But yeah, no, it reminds me of that in that way of like it being like I said, that kind of super ability power, but it being tied to the food he eats.
This isn't like specific to this character, but I'm so glad they stopped calling superheroes lad. Like, what was that weird period in comics that everybody was lad?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Like boy and man and girl and woman, that's one thing, but lad.
Lad and lassie? I don't know, like... Is that what you called? You call lassie? I don't know if it would work really now. Lightning Lassie. That's silly. This is always in a Scottish accent.
Lassie.
Lassie. So we're going over to Rainbow Girl. Probably one of the most potentially offensive superheroes to ever exist.
Very offensive.
Oh, it's a mood swing prone superhero with the ability to harness the emotional spectrum.
Oh, I wonder who wrote this.
No.
Ooh, this is really
Is this a Joss Whedon character by any chance?
Oh no! What's his face? The guy who got cancelled recently as well. What's his fucking name?
Warren Ellis.
Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Hold on, actually, I'm going to look up and see who invented them. I'm curious. I mean, the costume's okay. I like the purple. I like the colours. And
originally appeared in Adventure Comics, June 1963. So, it just gets even worse when you read the wiki.
Yeah, I'm on the wiki as well. It was Edmund Hamilton that came
No
up
idea.
with the character.
In her first appearance, Rainbow Girl was able to create a pheromone field that surrounds her in light resembling a rainbow, giving her irresistible personality to everyone. Oh, man. Also, appeared as recently as Blackest Night.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird.
During the Blackest Night event, Jeff Johns stated that she doesn't fully understand her powers and uses them more for fun. She was able to tap into the red, blue, and green lantern abilities.
Interesting.
When she and other substitutes came to the aid of Superman and the Legion of Superheroes in the battle against the xenophobic Justice League of Earth. What?
What?
Yeah, she's not a good character.
No, I mean, kind of cool abilities that aren't based off of,
Sometimes I think, they've written all these characters and then they're looking for someone to fit a particular role, and there's so many other superhero characters out there now that they probably, to find an original or make an original character is probably not easy to do anymore. So therefore they just go back to what
That
they've
was
got and try and...
Well, that was my question. Do you think there's anything, like, comics have been about for so long and they're clearly scraping the bottom of the barrel, right, with these people?
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything they haven't covered yet? Like a dumb, useless character that doesn't exist? I feel like there's something for everything.
I was going to say, I feel like a lot of the time it is, yeah. There's loads of things like that where...
It's like, oh, this character, Suitcase Man would be dumb, and then you Google it and there is a Suitcase Man.
What's what I'm saying is that, like, a lot of those dumb powers that, like, as ability or shapeshifting get covered, like with heroes like Elongated Man or Plastic Man.
Mm-hmm.
I always think, that, like,
you get any kind of cover all characters, I guess. Yeah,
it's weird though, but
so I think we're back down to the arm fall off boy who we went over already. So do you want to go a wee bit more about him?
Yeah, why not? Go for it. What's his powers abilities, Dan?
I mean, what do you think? He pulls his arms off and knocks guys about with his arms. Like, what do you want?
I want more, Dan. I want more.
He's actually a psychic levitating witch. He's just called arm fall off boy. Like, what do you expect?
I don't know. Maybe it's like a Daredevil Ghost Rider situation.
I love how much he's flexing in this panel though. Like, look at him showing off. My powers will astound you. Aye, okay, big man. Calm down.
What? Everyone's just being sick.
Aye.
What is that?
There was one that popped up on one of the pages, a Marvel, an X-Men character. I think it was Detonation Man.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that because we're going to talk about the audience, audience stuff, and that was one of the ones I was going to mention.
We'll find out audience what's next, but I do want to ask you, right? If you were in a jam, right, some big scary guys come to get you, who out of this list would you want on your side?
Jubilee.
It's Jubilee, right?
I would actually say
here, you can have three. Right.
Okay, you can have three. Right, three from my list.
So, Mash, you go first.
Right, I'll go first. I would have Mr. Immortal, right?
Why?
Because-
Explain your reasons.
Because look, he could definitely give me about 30 seconds before. If there's a big scary villain, I don't know, your Darkseid, your Thanos is, you're like, that could think, oh, if he's about to punch me, let Mr. Immortal get in the way. take that hit for me.
Okay.
And then at that point, who else have we got? Oh, Jesus Christ.
You're going to take Stone Boy, aren't you?
I was so tempted. I would pair Stone Boy, but who I would pair him with, as I would pair him with Bouncing Boy, because if you could use it,
I see where you're going.
yeah.
You're like one Stone Boy off a Bouncing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
right.
and that's how it would work.
Then
Actually,
you got a
no,
rubber bullet and a stone bullet.
exactly. No, actually, no. We wouldn't take Mr. Immortal, right? We'd take Dazzler, because Dazzler could blind the person if we didn't have sunglasses. Arm fall off. Only in that specific situation. And yeah, you'd have a stone bullet and a rubber bullet. He would basically use Bouncing Boy to catapult Stone Boy into it. And then I would die, but it'd be quite a funny thing to watch.
David, who'd you have the best chance?
Wait, if I
Get it out of
was
Jarman.
going to a battle, I would probably be resigned to the fact that I was going to die. So I would have some fun before the war.
Great having a
I would
laugh.
get Gin Genie. We get a wee bottle of gin.
Just get blackout drunk. Yeah.
Yeah, blackout drunk.
Absolutely
Then
shit-faced drunk.
massive eater, and I'd just make him eat stuff for a laugh. And then at the end of it, when I was feeling rough, I would have hindsight guy just to tell me where I went wrong. Who I should have had.
There's obviously solid choices.
At least
Drink
I
more
learned.
water.
I'm shocked that nobody took Arm Fall Off Boy, because I really think if a Thanos or a Darkseid was coming towards you, this guy pops his arm out and you see that weird arm butthole, that's game over, man. You've got a good 10 minutes to get out of there, but they go, whoa!
See, the thing is Arm Fall Off Boy has got really only limited use. He's got 2 chances to knock out the villain.
Well, that's the thing. Once he pulls one arm off, right? Like, how does he get the other one off? Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. So, okay, maybe one.
He's got one chance. Couple of seconds. He can take his legs off, though, I think. Did you not
Oh,
see
well,
that?
okay.
So
But then you just push him over.
so we'd say at most 3, but you wouldn't ever be able to utilise the 4th one. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's us done talking about this list.
Should we go into the fan suggestions?
Yes,
The-
where we
the
should.
Comments.
Yeah. So,
The audience suggestions, I should say.
Audience
we don't have
suggestions.
fans.
so
Woo!
yeah.
I'm
So-
your fan, lads.
Yeah, but yeah, woo. So as you mentioned, David, one of the audience suggestions from, I believe it was Kev McKee, MG. I don't know.
McGee, I
Kev
think?
Mick MCG. Sorry, Kev, if you're listening to this, do apologise, but you know who you are. You know who you are out there. The person that you mentioned, David, is the character Bailey Hoskins. Who you? What would you do? What did you say he did again? Do you want to say, David?
Yeah, so
What
he
was-
can blow himself up.
I'm glad you said up.
Oh no!
He can just, pretty much just explode. That's it.
But
That's
he can-
and he can only use it once.
So I've actually read the comic that he comes from,
Really?
and it's actually not bad.
Again, how did you discover this the first time?
So
That's what I said. That's the question I asked.
yeah, you asked David. What was the response
Well, I just get given a page,
from
with-
the book? Yep.
from the book, yes, with Beast, Hank McCoy, it's telling us basically, but in brackets, it's like Google this, Google that. So nothing really gets explained, so it's like I have no idea.
I mean, okay. So the one thing about his ability is that he can control the size of the explosion.
Okay.
Right?
And the reason why that's important is because although he's a mutant, he stays at Xavier's school. He doesn't properly become an X-Men. But what happens is all the X-Men get killed off in this universe. And basically there's that whole thing where there's like a bully at the school who is a student of Xavier who then becomes, I believe, a villain.
Hmm.
And then basically I'll kill off the mutants, and then mutants reign supreme, and then it's like everyone basically like basically they like all the mutants, the baddies take over, and the world is basically turned into dystopia. And what this guy does is he walks into the villain's base, taunts him, and then explodes himself. And it's a big fucking tower. I'll see if I can find the...
So in theory, could he like nuke a whole city?
No,
Like,
I'll show you it. Hang on. There's a panel that I think I have to find it, but I remember it's from the very end of the issue. Hang on. Let's have a look. Tower explosion. This will get me put on some search lists. some red.
You're being watched.
I can't find it, which is annoying, right?
to be fair, with some of the part in that group chat, we're probably all on a watch list.
Yeah. To be fair. I don't know. It's weird though. I can't seem to find it, but there is a...
I think any power that you can only use once is crap.
Yeah.
No matter how good the actual power is. You know, I mean, how useful is he going to be with you long term? Not not a lot.
So this is the thing they do is they obviously mention that he can't really be part of the X-Men because he is just a normal kid who can kind of explode.
Kind of.
He can't explode.
You either do or you don't. It's kind of, I mean.
But yeah, no, I think he basically gets taught by a bunch of people. God. Oh yeah, no. Someone kills off Professor X. That's one of the students at the thing. He kills off Professor X.
Sure.
So there's a guy who basically transmutes Professor X into solar gold.
Okay.
And he's one of the students. He turns out to be a bad guy. I'm just trying to read the wiki here as quick as possible, not take up too much time. Yeah, he basically blows up a tower. I'll show you the last panel.
And saves the world.
He basically saves the world, yeah. But the thing is, as well, is that he gets the nickname Exceptional. Is what his superhero name is.
Doesn't sound exceptional if you can only do it once, to be honest. Because until then, he's just a burden. Like,
Oh,
when do you pick the moment? Like, when are you like, right? Should I go? No, hold it, save it, or like we will like.
Yeah, exactly. When
is it just like a last resort type thing? Like,
yeah, I'll show you the panel it gets used in. It doesn't have the full spread, but it is the.
Did you just thing it up there?
Yeah, send it up there. It's that there.
So who's the character?
So the guy who's got the glowing eyes.
Yeah,
that's him. And the guy who he's holding is basically the guy who basically takes over the world with he's got transmutation powers, and he's basically a big bullet towards him, and he basically kills off most of the X-Men with a Brotherhood of Mutants. It's crazy. Actually, not a bad story at all. But yeah, no, that's his abilities. He blows people up, which is quite incredible. We spent a lot of time talking about him.
There was a comment from Alan McElvenney on the Facebook page who suggested "Forget Me Not."
Yep.
Do you guys know?
I know who sorry?
Forget Me Not.
Sorry, no,
Forget Me Not. Forget Me Not was a mutant who was stated to be in a state of constant existential superposition, both real and unreal. So his abilities include he's inconceivable and he's undetectable.
So,
but
I believe he's explained, he's always retconned in at some point or in some story, that he is the reason why the X-Men get out of some of their most incredible jams because people don't know he's there.
Yeah. What's funny though is he has no control over his powers. Apparently,
no, people just forget it exists.
That's kind of weird as well. Like, does he know what's happening?
No. He knows what's happening because Professor X basically has to. I don't know if it's in the wiki page, but he has to implant a psychic thing to remind him that Forget Me Not is there.
Right.
Like Professor X, without his psychic abilities, can't remember it. He has to have a specific psychic lock in place to actually remember that Forget Me Not exists.
This is the most kind of retconny bullshit comic book thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean that's the same as bringing in. See when time travel becomes a thing. That's I always
Yeah, it's a
think that-
bit. It's a bit universe breaking.
Aye, it's a bit cheaty. It's like, oh, well, how can we do it? Well, we just this guy that nobody remembers he's ever there, and he actually
Yeah.
gets to escape.
And he fixed it all.
And he fixed the whole thing, yeah.
So yeah, when Professor X was murdered, when I think Red Skull stole his brain and all that, Forget Me Not memorialized him as he had lost his permanent connection with others, because no one else knew he was there.
Listen, I don't feel sorry for this guy. Like he's a waste of time. Good. I'm glad everybody forgot about him.
See you later. I've got one that's quite controversial.
Okay,
That
ready?
I think's a crap superhero, or a worst superhero, or a weirdest superhero. Weird, in fact, it's just weird, and it's Iron Fist.
Why Iron Fist?
Because he's just got one big flaming fist.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. Why would you not have like iron limbs or
Yeah.
even iron heart or something like that makes your whole body this superhero, super fighting machine? Why just one fist? It does.
Yeah, I suppose that is quite limiting, really.
It's because a white man can only learn so much martial arts to make his fist an iron fist.
That doesn't sound like an in-universe reason, but
no.
Did you make that up?
Okay,
yeah,
I made up on the spot. It's just like no, because obviously the thing is the character is like okay, like it's a white dude who learns martial arts, who then becomes the Iron Fist.
The Iron Fist. I mean, if I was to go into YouPorn, I would expect to see something like that.
Oh God, damn it!
Even he looks cool. I like he's a size, his kung fu and all that stuff. That's pretty cool and stuff thingy. But even in the TV show, when you watch the fights, he's just fighting with one hand the whole time. A lot of it is just this one fist, and it's just stupid. It's just weird. Yeah. So my to throw mine in there, a weird superhero, Iron Fist.
to be fair, the TV show didn't do many favours.
No, it did not. It definitely did not.
Yeah. We've got a couple more comments in the group. Somebody said Doorman, who we covered in the list, obviously. And then I wonder who wrote this. Batman, being a billionaire is not a superpower, it's theft. # abolish Batman.
I wonder who they... Because
I wonder who wrote that.
That's in the official BGCP account as
Shout
well.
out to grumpy old man Alan Todd.
Alan Todd. So been on a kick recently with the fund in the establishment. As he always has been. Oh God!
Not all superheroes must be super, Alan.
Exactly. We don't take men who dress up in capes as okay. Let's not talk about hindsight, lad. Right? But we don't count Batman. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Someone has Dog Wielder here.
Dog Wielder.
I don't know if that is an actual. It's a guy. So a guy on the Facebook, I believe. His name is. Oh, he's a DC character.
You know what's weird? That more people haven't messed with like this. They could have sent us anything we would have reviewed it. Do you know what I mean?
So the guy's name is Thank You Will Hamilton for Dog Wielder, and he is Dog Wielder is a DC character on New Earth, and his abilities are he wields dogs to people.
And the panel I'm looking at, he's holding a pup in one hand, and he's got
a blowtorch,
a welding blowtorch in the other hand. Yeah.
I believe he appeared in the Hitman series for DC.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. Dog
Hitman's
Welder or Dog Wielder?
Dog Welder.
Welder, right?
Yeah, Welder. W-E-L-D.
No, Welder, not.
He welds dogs.
But he also wields a dog. So it works both ways, I guess.
A dog wielder was more realistic than a dog welder. What?
No, he just wards. So Dog Welder never speaks and he never shows his face. In Prime Earth, Dog Welder's successor, Dog Welder 2, travels to the pyramids of Egypt and is subsequently
more than one of these guys.
And is subsequently transported to the Dog Welder afterlife. Here it is implied in that there have been many others in the past, all afflicted with the same curse by Anubis.
My God.
He is often cited as being possibly psychotic or schizophrenic, with no evidence to confirm either claim.
This is very Garth Ennis.
Hitman Volume 1 appears on Hitman 18 September 1997, and A Penis of Death, Hitman 52 August 2000.
You know, I've read the first few volumes of Hitman. I don't remember this character, but It's a great book, but
How do you come up with... What does he even do? He welds dogs to people.
Yeah. While the team was on hiatus, Dogwaiter spent his time trapping and killing dogs in alleyways. When the team reformed, he helped fight. I don't know what team it is, but I assume it's the superhero team that appears in Section 8. He has a strong compulsion to wheel dogs to people's faces.
no, that
That's
compulsion
his,
that you have, that wee craving you have sometimes to weld a dog to somebody's face. Also, would a dog weld its flesh? How do you weld
Yeah,
flesh?
exactly. That just sounds cruel. That just
Yeah.
sounds like you're burning a dog.
We're really questioning the logic here of a guy welding a dog in a superhero context. Is that what we're doing, boys?
We are, yes.
Right,
yes.
okay.
Well,
Hi,
it's got to make some form of sense.
Right, okay, sure.
I mean, if you want to get really kind of dark, I guess you could weld its bones to
Right. Jesus Christ.
We've went too far.
We have. We've stepped the line. I think was there one here as well. Captain Boomerang apparently is one. So David Todd Guick is to shade myself a bit, but compared to everyone else's, that's a result in Suicide. Captain Boomerang has got to be the worst supervillain. He has had upgrades over the years, such as the ability to use the power of the Speed Force and the Lantern Rings, but his base power of throwing boomerangs really well is just baffling. How he has competed with arguably one of the most OP characters, the Flash, and has won on several occasions is baffling.
I think the thing with a lot of these characters, right, like Arm Fall Off Boy and Boomerang and the comics, a lot of comics I think take themselves a wee bit too seriously. You bring in like a lot of filmmakers that take the piss a bit, like your James Gunns and whoever else. Like, I think that's where these characters belong now. That's their place now. Like, nobody's going to read a comic and think, oh yeah, here's Arm Fall Off Boy. But you put them in a film, you have a laugh. I think that's the best way to kind of use these characters.
I mean, Captain Boomerang, to be honest, the ability to throw boomerangs precisely is pretty cool.
It's bullseye. It's kind of that's the
right,
thing.
Exactly. It's kind of like there he is.
But again, I've also always thought this about kind of bullseye and boomerang. Again, it's something that, in theory, you could get good enough at throwing boomerangs to just do it. You don't need to be a superhero. Be really good at, have a really good pitching arm.
Oh man. Yeah, I think that's us done with our list. Is there anything else you want to mention, Dan?
No, I think I'm satisfied with these dumb characters. I think.
Oh God,
I'm satisfied too.
There we go.
Dog welder boys or man, whatever the hell.
The dog welder. The dog
welder. To be fair, I didn't think we could go weirder than Arm Fall Off Boy. I think we went there. So fair play.
Good comment. I'm going to be googling him after I come off this show.
So I believe we'll move on to the news of the week.
Let's do it.
Do it. There's an intro playing now.
Yeah.
With the music.
No, Ian does that. I don't do that.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Did you see the suits for Shazam 2?
Yeah.
Because I think they look infinitely better.
Yeah, they look They look way better.
They look less like pajamas. I
mean, that's what you want, really. You just want your superhero costume looking less like a pajama.
Yeah.
Is that pajamas?
I mean, they are a bit like all the DCU characters will have this kind of similar like texture and muted colour palette, which they seem to kind of be aping here a wee bit, which I don't know if I'm into that.
Yeah, it seems to be the kind of in thing to be really textured. Jupiter's Legacy, they were all very textured as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's because they can show detail now.
Yeah.
Original comics, the reason everything's blue and green and stuff, because those were the colours that kind of popped up on the page. So I think, and also now obviously comics and the imagery on a page is a lot more detailed and things. I think that's part of the reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because your TV screen is so clear, you can see all these things there. I think that's part of it. I like it. I've got no problem with the textured stuff at all. I think it looks good.
I like the white capes.
Yeah, I think as well they're really leaning towards the whole Marvel family thing, which I really like.
Yeah.
But that must be a nightmare to get dirt out of that cape. I'll be honest.
It's like a Flash advert or Febreze or whatever. Yeah.
Vanish,
that's the one.
That's
Thanks.
It. In that same kind of vein as well, they've also revealed that the Pierce Brosnan Dr. Fate suit is all going to be mocapped.
I mean,
they're going to have a physical suit in.
Kind of seen that coming, right?
Yeah, but I feel like
what's it going to be, sorry?
It's going to be fully mocapped, the Pierce Brosnan Dr. Fate suit.
Mocap? What do you mean?
Like, so it's gonna have like the wee balls and that on them.
It'll be
Like, the
CGI.
CGI.
It'll be a CGI character.
Sorry. Right, okay.
Yeah, fully CG suit.
I don't know. Like, I know that CG suits in the past have went wrong, like Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, obviously, right?
But they've
But
got it right though with like stuff like Iron Man as well.
oh,
like-
exactly. I was going to say that there's examples. Look at Iron Man, and to me, I think the only person it really affects is the actors on set. Like, if I was someone else in that film and I was acting opposite Pierce Brosnan wearing ping pong balls, that might. I mean, I realise they're trained for this, right? But I think it would be better to have them there in person. Do you know what I mean? But
it's a
see, when you
comparison,
watch
like,
it, who cares? Like
like every other character, like Helen Mirren's even got a suit. Is I don't know who she's gonna be, but she's like one of the villains.
she's the villain's mother, I think. Yeah, or sister. Yeah.
And you've got all of the Shazam suit, and it's just Pierce Brosnan as a fucking pen of ping pong balls. Everyone else has got these super cool superhero costumes. Just alright, cool.
I don't know. I would have thought it, but I like
Yeah,
Pierce
nah.
Brosnan.
I like Shazam as well. I think it was probably one of the
I
better
thought-
DC films.
Yeah, I thought the first Shazam movie was fantastic. Actually, I didn't really know much about Shazam apart from Kingdom Come, when he was actually Captain
Yeah.
Marvel. Was it Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel? I didn't really know much about him at all, and I thought the film was excellent. I really enjoyed it. I don't know how close it is to the source material. I can't say, but no, I really enjoyed the film.
I think it takes a lot of inspiration off the New 52 run. That first movie.
Yeah.
Right.
In terms of the design of the costume and even the ending as well, the post credits stinger with Sylvana and the I could cut my if I don't know his name. It's like the worm, the evil worm.
Yes.
You see it in the vents.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah.
That's like part of the New 52. That's like the end of the first arc. Same thing happens.
But it's the same. It's the same directors doing the sequel, and yeah, I think we're good.
There you go.
I think that's always a good idea if you keep it the same kind of director that does all of them. I think that's
The guy was actually a YouTuber. He had his own YouTube channel, and then I think Shazam was his first film, so he's doing well for himself. He's doing alright.
Speaking of upcoming films, and even trailers with said upcoming films, we got a better look at. Extended look in Shang-Chi, the trailer. We got a better look at that fight sequence that everyone was kind of thinking of was happening, the kind of weird fight tournament thing that was happening that was inside of a cage. And apparently, I saw this one. We saw Abomination, but we also saw Wong as well.
Yep. Yeah, yes. He's fighting Wong. That's
what I didn't know it was. I didn't even catch that. I thought it was just a random sorcerer.
It's a split second. You always see him getting kind of thrown across the cell, but with the hair and the shape of his head, it's definitely Benedict Wong. It's definitely him.
Oh, wow. I wonder what happened to Strange.
I might think he might make a cameo. Did I hear that right somewhere?
Ooh.
Strange is making a cameo in one of them upcoming things. I think it's Shang-Chi. I think he is. I think Cumberbatch is signed on.
I've got a funny feeling Doctor Strange will be making cameos in quite a lot of the upcoming Marvel movies.
Especially with...
it's all going to be the multiverse, isn't it? So
stuff that's happening with Loki and stuff.
Aye, it's all going to look back to him.
Aye, exactly. He's going to have to be the one that kind of leads back to and sort it out, basically.
A big trailer though, man. Like, I was already kind of looking forward to it, but this one just kind of made me go, yes, this looks,
there you go.
This looks cool.
Good.
The other trailer we got was what I thought was a much better trailer for the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
The first trailer didn't do it for me at all. It was far too quirky James Gunn isms, whereas this one actually made it look like an exciting superhero film. So I was like, I'm into this.
Which is what you want, isn't it?
I quite like the idea of just being a quirky kind of, not taking itself too seriously.
Listen, I know that I'm the minority. People love the Guardians films. I'm no massive on them. So,
and is there anything you do like?
The intro to Guardians 2 is really good. The Mr. Blue Sky sequence, that's incredible. The animation and the timing, and it's such a good sequence. That's kind of the highlight of both those movies for me. But shout out to somebody. I don't have the comment in front of me. It's somebody see what you just said, Massimo. I think the comment was: Is there any chance that Dan's going to write about something he does like? That was left on. That was left on. I think the Legends of Zelda thing that I did. Yeah. So shout out to that guy.
Oh man, yeah, Dan, you really love to hate stuff, man.
Listen, I just expect better. That's all.
Speaking about stuff that people love to hate. Decades after the infamous Clone Saga, Marvel is once again
Here we go again.
Handing the Spider-Man over to Peter Parker's clone, Ben Reilly, after probably what's going to happen in the upcoming death of Spider-Man. And if you can't tell by the way I just said that, and you're not watching the video version, I put death in massive air quotes because we hear about the death of lots of characters in the past few months, and I don't think any of them are going to stick. The third one this week, right?
Third? Doctor Strange, Spider-Man.
Was there one more? Was there not one more? Oh, did we not?
No, I think it was just two.
Spider-Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just two.
I thought it was one more.
Okay, like, I guess we just can expect at this point, I think. Do you know what I mean? For them to do this.
This is my problem with Marvel and DC. I think they've been going on for so long that trying to... I mean, it's okay if you're a brand spanking new reader, then you're like, oh, Spider-Man, dead. But when you're folk like us who have been reading them for a long, long time, it's kind of like, Spider-Man dead again.
But I do wonder that, though, like, I think there is a lot of new readers since the films have got big, the MCU stuff. I think there is a lot of new people, and I wonder if it's for that benefit or if it is just a marketing thing. Like, these make money, people buy these. Do you know what I mean?
We were talking about this, assumably, weren't we, a wee while ago? It's like we were talking about because obviously Marvel have that new event coming up, which again can't remember the name of. That's my bad. It's Marvel Dark Knight. No, not Dark Knight.
It's the Tom Taylor one.
Yeah, it's Tom Taylor one. I think you have it listed in a previous thing, but regardless of the name of it, even though it's like the 5th or 6th event, world-ending, world-changing, event that we've had in the past 5 years?
Yeah, that's what you was saying last week. Yeah,
but yeah, it's 100%. All I want is I like comic books. I don't read them as much, but as I used to, but I like them, and I feel like I guess to keep bringing people in, they have to have these big, massive events that kind of coincide with the kind of superhero world we're used to with like Marvel and the DCEU and also even the MCU as well. I just don't get sick of it.
I think that the bar is raised so high with Marvel and DC that it's hard to bring it back down. You just want Batman running about the streets, and you just want Spider-Man swinging through the buildings, and you just want Daredevil, at ground level. You don't need all this big. I mean, fair enough if you get Guardians of the Galaxy, but again, you want Guardians of the Galaxy in space. Doing a space thing, a sci-fi kind of thing. You don't need them to be constantly mixed up and
part of every. Yeah, totally.
Bring in the X-Men with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers and blah blah blah. The other thing is eventually this is all going to happen on the cinematic universe as well. So you're going to read it to death, and then you're going to have to watch it to death as well. And it's kind of so that's what really annoys me about the Marvel and DC stuff. I think it's tough for them because I think it must be difficult to try and rehash a character all the time.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. I mean, good writers and something fresh, I guess, would be all it would take. But it does seem a bit recycled at this point. And, yeah.
But it could just be us because we are old readers. That's
yeah.
The thing.
Did we get through everything? There's an AA play coming up, and there's a rumor of a old franchise coming back, and there's a lot of rumors saying it's going to be Dead Space. I think you were into this, Massimo.
Yes, yeah. This was one of those ones that I have a weird relationship with Dead Space. Is that I played the third one.
Oh, that was your first? Wow.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go and sit and replay the other ones because I never got a chance. But the third one was my first Dead Space. Sorry, David, we're leaving you out of this one, but
lads, fire away, man. Go for it.
This goes back to something that me and Dan were talking about on the E3 wrap up thing that we have. It's a good podcast. You should watch it.
Down below.
Channel. Down below. Links down below. But yeah, no, it is one of those things of like, I think it's a great idea that they're bringing back a standard horror franchise.
So, have you only played the third one?
Only played the third one.
Oh,
I know the
man.
first two are great.
I'm going to say, if you enjoyed the third one, that's the worst out of the three. So, you've got a treat to come. Like,
I've got Xbox Game Pass now and stuff. So
the first one's personally my favourite because I'm more of a kind of slow horror guy. The first one's very kind of Resident Evil and a spaceship. Whereas the second one is more action packed. There's more kind of, what do you call them, like set pieces. The spaceship's blowing up and you're doing quick time events, which is still cool. But mixed with the horror, and then the third one I felt like they went too much into that and kind of patched the horror side of it, which I wasn't into as much. But I'm glad they're bringing it back because it kind of had a bit of a rubbish death. Like the first 2 games were great, and then this third one was just a bit a fart in the wind. Do you know what I mean?
I liked it, but again, it's a thing of being young when I played it and being like, oh, it's a cool action game with aliens.
Yeah.
Rather than a slow burn, tense horror thing.
But it's not definitely going to be Dead Space though. I've heard rumours of a new Burnout game, which I would also be happy with.
Burnout game.
Yeah, I would take that. Just don't do Mirror's Edge again. You've ruined that. He's absolutely ruined that. Just stop.
It was terrible.
He's already dead. If we want to just quickly skip over gaming news, the other thing is, I'm just going to quickly kind of go over this. The abandoned thing that we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
It's not happening. We thought we would know what was happening by today. It's been delayed till August. So,
and if you haven't seen that video, it's one of the most viewed on the channel at the moment. You should go watch it and push the views on that and get us in the algorithm.
Below. That'll be linked below, along with the report I did yesterday on the Ghost of Ikishima, which is a Ghost of Tsushima DLC.
Yeah.
That's all the gaming news. There's a few more comic book things, man. Did you guys see the Miles Morales Captain America thing?
Yeah.
That was cool, man.
Cool
I love that suit.
I like it. He's teaming up with a bunch of them. I think there's a few different variant covers out there that are all over the place. That are also like having him team up with just other heroes as well, I believe. Hang on, I'll double check.
I mean, Miles Morales is getting a lot of play just now. I find it so fascinating that they've not tried to put him into the MCU, because you had the major kind of game that came out last year. You've got this comic, you've got and then obviously the Into the Spider-Verse film, and you've got all this going on. I don't know, man. I think it's only a matter of time before.
Who owns the rights?
I think it is Sony.
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah,
because Sony's still owning the rights to Spider-Man.
They're just loaning them out.
Yeah.
So Miles Morales, obviously, is because he's such a big deal now in Marvel, in the comics and games and things. Obviously, it's a.
I mean, he's been mentioned in the first one. Donald Glover's Prowler was like, I'm going to keep my nephew away from you or something.
That's right, yeah.
But he doesn't get mentioned by name is the thing.
No, I didn't get named.
But in the deleted scene he does.
Does he?
There's a deleted scene for the first Spider-Man film that is him on the phone.
Right.
He's like, yeah, sorry Miles, I'm going to be late picking you up.
Right.
That's it. That's what it is. It's a continuation of that thing.
They probably couldn't. They probably recorded that, but they probably weren't allowed to include it.
Yeah. Got a legal slap on the wrist.
Aye, exactly. So it's definitely got something to do with a deal with Sony. Definitely.
But I just think he's too kind of popular a character now, not to make money off him. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's the thing. I think Sony might do a thing of, he's ours. We'll make a bunch of solo films.
There'll be some weird deal, and then Michael Keaton will be in Venom, and aye. Just make Tom Hardy Wolverine. Just let's drop Venom altogether and make Tom Hardy Wolverine. That's what we all want.
It can be done now.
Is there any more news, Massimo?
I think the only other thing I'd like to kind of touch on is the Rick and Morty has come back this week.
Yes, we can kind of transition into this what we're watching part of this show.
Yeah.
That first episode was great. I thought I'd return to form.
I haven't. So here's the thing: I interviewed the two comic creators who worked on Rick and Morty's kind of newest book, Rick's New Hat. Another link available in the bio as well. It's a good interview. They're really funny, really high energy dudes. I'm yet to see the first episode, but that's because I was away for the past week with a place that I didn't have.
You're in for a treat.
Stream. But yeah, no. Apparently it's great. And if it's a return to form, I'm more than happy with that, because I don't think I've said it before in the show, but I've said it behind the scenes where I've been like, I liked the first season of Rick and Morty. Less a big fan of it now.
Rick and Morty, we were talking earlier about comics that have been going too long and they run out of ideas and it doesn't feel fresh or new anymore. That was the problem with that show for me. See, at first it was like, this is a cartoon, they're saying all this stuff and they're showing all this, and it's like, it's so existential but also really funny, and then the novelty wore off and it get tired, and I think that was the issue. Whereas this episode, I felt was a return to that kind of early episode idea, so that sounds good.
I'm going to face up here. I have never watched an episode.
Get out of here. Leave.
Thing is, lads, I'm nearly 40. I grew up in the Simpsons, the what do you call it? Family Guy, South Park, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, when another new captain came out, I thought, it's just going to be much and such the same as that. So I just didn't bother.
To be fair, I was in that boat for a while. I was at uni at the time that it came out, and everybody in my class was, oh, you need to watch this, and I'm like, I need another one. Like, and then I think there'd been 2 seasons when I was like, right, okay, I'll stick it on, and then really enjoyed it.
I'll be honest, I was the perfect demographic, a 13 to 14-year-old high school boy. So I'll be honest, that show really did appeal to me. No, it was all right. I always think the first 2 seasons of that show were really good. Third season, 4.
I mean, there's Beavis and Butthead as well. So, you're saying, for me, it was like Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, it's a thing of like, it's so edgy.
It's definitely, I mean, I can understand why it's popular.
It's popular.
And I'm sure I would enjoy it, to be honest.
But to be fair, its popularity is also something that's kind of tarnished that show. The fans are a bit toxic, so
yeah, it really is those things. Anyway, so other than speaking about Rick and Morty, lads, what have you guys been reading, watching, listening? What have you been doing this week with your free time? What have you been doing?
I've been watching, or just finished watching Sweet Tooth on Netflix, which
apparently phenomenal.
I love.
I know very little about this. I know it's based on a comic, but that's
I mean, I was exactly the same. I knew very little about it as well, and I've got a 2-year-old boy, and I think it's basically about it's about a virus that rips through the world.
Oh,
exactly. And there are a certain age group, a certain year, if you like. Most of the children that are born are hybrids, so they're half human, half animal.
Mutated.
And it follows the first wee boy called Gus or Sweet Tooth, and he is a hybrid with antlers. And his dad takes him into the wilderness and keeps him there, just the two of them, while all the hell's kicking off outside. And he at that point, I just fell in love with the character because he's a sweet, innocent little kid, and you just know that outside in the big bad world he's going to get, chewed up and spat out, basically. And of course his dad then passes away, and he has to go out. And it's just, for me, it was just a lovely, sweet, sometimes slightly worrying tale about a little boy with antlers trying to make his way through the crazy world. So I would recommend it. Give it a watch. I think the book is a lot darker than what the TV show would be.
Okay.
There was definitely points at the start of the TV show I thought, oh my God, this could get really, really dark here. I don't know if I can watch this, because like I say, he just reminded me of my kid.
Right, one of those heads close to home.
When you say dark, is it like, would it be suitable for kids, or is it like more of a mature thing? Or?
I think the TV show, I wouldn't give it to let young kids watch it.
Yeah.
You think young adults maybe, like 13, 14?
Maybe 12 and above, I would say, to be honest.
See, that's the thing. My girlfriend watched it recently, and she really, because she was like looking for a show to stick on in the background and stuff like that, and then she really watched it. She didn't know what it was about. She watched it and she fucking really liked it. She really, really enjoyed it, and I was like, well, thanks for doing that without me. Great. One of those things. No, but she said it's really good, and I'm definitely gonna give it a watch at some point. It's only like 5-6 episodes, I think, isn't it?
I think it's 8. Normal Netflix. Netflix is normally 8 episodes.
8 episodes isn't too bad.
Yeah, I think Robert Downey Jr. actually produced it.
Yeah, him and his wife's production company.
I believe so. But I'm gonna. I can't wait for season 2, so I'm just gonna have to buy the books. So I think you can get the books for £35 for kind of all of them. So I'm just gonna next payday. That's what I'm getting.
There you go. Daniel.
I'll go next. I reread a classic this week. I reread Kingdom Come and wrote a review.
Oh man, what a book!
I read your review. Good.
Cheers, thanks, mate. I like that below too. But recently, right, since I've started writing for BGCP, I've went back to a lot of things, like a lot of stuff that I liked years ago, and not been. I don't know if it's just because I'm being more critical, because I know I'm writing a review, but I've just not enjoyed it as much as I did the first time. I was a wee bit worried the same thing was going to happen with Kingdom Come, because I reread Dark Knight Returns and I was like, I reread Planet Hulk and wasn't impressed. Kingdom Come is still one of the greatest comics ever put out, I think. And the thing is, it's not often that you get the absolute top tier story and the absolute top tier art in the same book. It was such a... It kind of feels like more than your standard comic. Like, see how The Dark Knight was the kind of first superhero film to kind of like be more than just a superhero film. I feel like Kingdom Come, maybe not the first, but it's one of the comics. It's like, it should just be a piece of literature that everybody should read. Like, even if you've never read a comic, it's so well written, so well drawn. and it's timeless. I think it just holds up.
It's a great book. I've read it a bunch of times, and I just love it. I totally agree with everything you said. I think it totally holds up to kind of modern day. I think it's just I just think it's a great book. You know what? Civil War is basically the same idea, to be honest. I think Mark Miller is pretty much kind of just taking that storyline.
I mean, to be fair, like I talk about comics that haven't stood the test of time. I feel like Civil War at the time was an interesting concept, and in hindsight, it's not a great comic. And
I agree.
I think kind of comes the opposite side of that coin. I think that's like with a great idea at the time, and it holds up.
I think the thing is what can come is the art is so timeless. Alex Ross's art is
that painting style that he does,
honestly,
man. It's
I don't have them with me, but if you're round about from Glasgow, whatever, you'll know of a shop called Forbidden Planet, or even there's several of them across the UK and across even in the US. But they were refurbishing it and they were closing down. They were opening up another one, and they had a sale on, and a bunch of his art books were on sale. So I've got a bunch of these kind of like small kind of coffee table things that are directly from Ross Scott's sketchbook.
Yeah,
and they're some so amazing.
Yeah,
art, like just oh man, just so good. And like I've got them there, and I just sit and pour over them. You just look at them, you're like,
it's nuts, man. Like, see somebody that can draw as well. Especially sketches. You're like, how do you pull that off? I mean, you must get a lot, David, with your artists. Like, it's nuts, man.
See, sometimes when Roman passes stuff over to me, I'm just like, wow, man, how can you do that? You know, I sit with a pen and paper, and I just can't do anything. It's just so embarrassing. It's like, how do you manage it? It's an art. Obviously, it's called art, isn't it? It's an art.
So honestly, it's incredible.
Yeah, but Alex Ross's stuff is amazing.
Yeah. Still a great book. Other than that, I replayed Zelda Breath of the Wild and put a review for that. That got some controversy going. Yeah.
So that's part of your new-ish. Well, not new. You've been doing them for a wee while, but you're kind of now properly branding them into something now, aren't you?
This was me dipping my toe in the water. I have quite a lot of controversial views on things across gaming.
About almost everything.
But I thought, God sitting over here.
I thought, why no? Like, as you're saying, Massimo, like, kind of categorise them. So I came up with this title, A Gander at Gaming, and it's going to be just a series of things criticising aspects of the industry that piss me off. I feel like The Legend of Zelda, the series as a whole, right, but the last one specifically is one of the most overrated games I've ever played.
So here's when I read your review, and I think it's not review, your think piece, your discussion piece.
Sure.
It's honestly a very well thought out, very well read thing, and it was something I really enjoyed reading. I could see your points, but I think for me as well, especially, I like those kind of games that are almost like, because you say it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
It's just a game that was so overhyped that when you look back on it, you realise it probably wasn't everything that everyone thought it was. But for me personally, I like a game that it gives you this big open world and then gives you a starter mission. You complete that starter area and it's like, right, you go.
Yeah.
You have,
So yeah, and I'm not saying that's not a positive of it, and I'm into that, and it's a good, as you're saying, it's a good version of that, a good iteration of that. It's just not the best that's ever been made, and that's how it was hyped up in the press. And Nintendo gets this weird nostalgic pass on everything they do. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have an allegiance. Like I've always played PlayStation, but I own an Xbox and I own a PC. Like, I don't really have an allegiance to any console. I've never really been a big Nintendo guy. I had the 64 and then the GameCube. I had that, but I've never really been mad about it. But I don't know. It's just weird how there's this kind of industry-wide bias towards it. Yeah. And as somebody that doesn't, obviously isn't a Nintendo fan, for like a kind of outside perspective, I'm like, why is this a thing? Is it just nostalgia? Is it because these people grew up with these characters?
I think it's a mixture of stuff, honestly. And I feel like it is interesting to look at a piece that discusses more about, from an outside of industry perspective or an outside perspective of one of, people would say, probably the decade's most beloved games.
Yeah, it is. And again, like I was saying about Gardens, I know that I'm the minority, but I think that makes for a good discussion topic, and it makes for a decent piece of writing, I think, because you don't want to just read and agree with everything you read. I mean, you want something to challenge you a wee bit, so that's kind of the point of this series, is going to be that. I've not decided how controversial I'm going to go yet, because I've got some thoughts about the way that females are portrayed in games, but I also realise I'm a straight white guy, so we'll see how that goes in the long term. But starting in July, I think they're going to be getting fired out fairly
I think
regularly.
it's a good idea, Dan. And I think if we ever have time in the future, some of those can definitely be turned into video essays. Because they are a really solid piece of work.
Find another editor on your own.
So yeah. So for me, what I've kind of been watching, listening, reading, as I said, I was on holiday for the week, so I wasn't isolated from the world. I had my date and stuff, but I wasn't able to latch onto pop culture and stuff as much as I normally would. Obviously, been watching Loki, but we'll get to that in like a little bit. But one of the ones I watched, this is a film I revisited, and it's based off a comic book. It's the film. It's on Netflix. It's called Stardust.
Is that the Charlie Cox?
Yes, Charlie Cox.
Robert De Niro's a pirate.
In it. Yep, yeah, he's a sky pirate. Ricky Gervais in it. Henry Cavill's in it. So many big famous names. This was 2007. It was.
Take that to the soundtrack.
Take that to the soundtrack. It is I guess, very much a film of its time. But it's this fantasy film about a guy who basically goes out and crosses into basically a mythical world that exists in parallel to our own, is only separated by a wall in a small town in England called Wall. And he basically goes out to capture the star, and it's his adventures along the way as everything kind of goes wrong and secrets are uncovered, families are broken. It's kind of cool, really interesting. And it's actually based off of a Neil Gaiman comic.
It's somewhat of a reshaping of The Princess Bride as well, I think. There's parallels to that.
Bethany watched it, my girlfriend, me and her watched it for the first time, and she was like, "Oh, it's so Princess Bride," but I'm like, yeah. But it is, it's such
but that's not a bad thing.
It isn't. It's arguably, it's one of those things that it didn't do well at the box office, but it's a very much an evergreen title.
And I think it's got kind of cult status. I think there is. It's got a following now. Like,
I've only ever watched it when it's been on TV.
It's on Netflix. It's good to watch it.
I've never sat down and watched it, but every time it's been on TV and I've watched it, I've sat and watched it.
Right? It's quite. You're watching it quite. It pulls you in, draws you in.
Yeah.
But no, it's based off a Neil Gaiman comic. That was a DC Vertical imprint. That I actually have a copy of coming some point today or tomorrow. That I bought after watching it because I like Neil Gaiman, I like his stuff, and I feel like obviously it won't be a straight faithful adaptation.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the film and I'm like, might as well watch it. I might as well give it a read. So that'll probably be what will be on next week's what we've been reading or what we've been listening. I'll probably have watched that. But yeah, Stardust, great film. I think it holds up after 15 so years.
Mm-hmm.
Came out 2007, and is one of those films that definitely achieved cult status. And if you haven't watched it, it would be a very good film for your kids.
And Michelle Pfeiffer's great in it as well.
Michelle Pfeiffer's also really good. She's plays the villain.
Yeah.
And there's a few famous faces that you'll recognise in there. You're like, I know
Charlie
him from
Cox,
that film.
Did you mention?
What?
Did you mention Charlie Cox?
Charlie Cox is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
He's got the long hair.
Daredevil. Yeah,
Daredevil.
Daredevil.
I think I can now picture him actually go, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah. There you go. Henry Cavill's in it as well. Yeah, he appears like briefly, but De Niro's in it as well. Mark Strong. It's got a really good cast, to be honest, and you'll recognise a lot of the famous faces. But yeah, no, that's kind of what I've been doing. And other than that, I watched episode 3 of Loki this week, which I believe will be the final discussion topic of this podcast.
Yep.
And episode 3 of this fantastic Marvel show, in my opinion. I think other people have different thoughts, but. What do we think, gentlemen? What do we think of this episode? Are we want to just go fire in with a recap, full spoilers? What we want to do here?
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
Although I realise I'm becoming a stereotype at this point, right? This was the first. This was the first episode that I was like, "Oh, it's filler. This is filler. We're doing now." First two were brilliant. Probably my favourite since there's only been Falcon Winter Soldier, but it's up there with WandaVision. I loved WandaVision, and I don't know, just okay. Him and his sister, or his variant, I don't know.
So for those who haven't seen the episodes, which you really should do, should go watch it. This episode basically starts where the last one left off. We see that Lady Loki, she's not called Lady Loki as we find out. She's called Sylvie, who is a version of Marvel's Enchantress character, or the fake Enchantress as she's known in the comics, because there's various iterations of that character. She basically is hacking into the mind or enchanting the mind of a TV agent through a series of memories that she's basically inceptioned into their brain and trying to uncover where the timekeepers are. She does that successfully, and the episode starts exactly where it left off, with the water goes through the portal. They fight together, and then Loki and Sylvie, the Lady Loki, get transported to another one of the apocalyptic timelines through one of the time console devices. I honestly thought really strong start to the episode. I thought it started really strong. However, I do have to agree with Dan. It does feel like filler, but I have a theory, and it's a big fan theory that's out there that a lot of people have thought there's the reason why it feels like that filler that we can discuss if you want, or I can let David take his opinion on kind of the starting of the episode and how it was.
No, you go for it. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I think the first two episodes I've enjoyed. Second episodes I feel like filler. I suppose it does really. I can always expect a wee episode of filler, but I enjoyed it. I think it's pretty good. I thought there's parts of it when I thought the sets were a little
janky.
The movement as they're running around at the very end. I thought that was a bit staged looking. But apart from that,
be giving Disney too much credit here. So what I think is that they basically get transported on this post-apocalyptic planet. It's like Lamitus 1. It's known in the comics as being on the edge of Kree space. One of those things of the outer edge of the galaxy and all that stuff. And it's in the middle of an apocalypse where the moon's basically fallen. And Loki basically steals a time pad from Sylvie and then keeps it and is like, I'm not giving this back until we figure out how to recharge it and get it back off the planet. At that point, Sylvie goes and reaches forwards towards Loki and puts her hand on the temple and then tries to enchant him and it doesn't work. And Loki's like, what are you doing? Oh, it usually works enchanting people. Stronger minds, she gives us whole explanation of how the stronger the person is, the more complicated and complex the memory has to be, and it can't be me just pulling it out from the head. It's not as if I just take over their body. They are there with me, but it will be me just deep diving into their brain. And that's why I think this episode looks so janky and so fillery, is that at that point, the episode differentiates into a completely separate thing, as what we're actually seeing is inside Loki's brain. As she's trying to figure out where the time pad is, and she's trying to figure out about Loki. She's basically trying to figure out, and he even explains some of his backstory. He does. He gives obviously they're very two standoffish characters, but he does give a little bit of his backstory towards it. And I don't know how valid that theory is. Could it be another One Division-esque theory up there with those before? But yeah, no, that's one of those things.
That sounds fair enough, actually. I guess we'll find out Friday. Yeah. Is it Friday?
I wonder. See, I don't know, man. You should give Marvel too much credit. They do this kind of thing. Yeah. Like they put Hulk in the Infinity War trailer, and he wasn't in Wakanda at all in that film. So they've done this before. Thor's eye in the Ragnarok trailer had two eyes and things like that. But I wonder if they would. I don't know if they would do it that subtle. I feel like there would be something a wee bit more obvious. I'm not saying like a full animated sequence to be like, oh, this is clearly happening in a different. But that's
the thing is, I feel like they set it up at the start of the episode that she could do that, and then they mention it throughout the episode.
Yeah.
And there's some you could see some parallels that when obviously they get on the train, they figure out that the only place that they can basically charge it up is on this arc that has the most amount of power, that's to get people off the planet. However, in the actual timeline, nobody actually makes it off the planet. Because the arc gets destroyed, which, spoiler alert, happens at the end of the episode as well. But yeah, no, the parallel is that the starting sequence of her and Sylvie and the TV agent is in that weird booth thing where they're sitting in the restaurant. Which, by the way, we also discovered that it turns out some of them are variants.
Yeah,
it might be that all of the TV are actually variants, which might explain why Morbius has an obsession with jet skis.
Jet skis. Just get him a jet ski.
Yeah, get him a jet ski. Get him his 90s jet ski. But yeah, no, apparently, if you look at the way how it's paralleled, is that when they're sitting on the train talking, it mirrors the opening sequence. In terms of not just colour and context, but also the way they're sitting, the way they're talking and stuff like that. And
there was a few callbacks, like the scene with Loki falling.
Yeah.
And he's falling for 30 minutes in Endgame, right?
It's
Infinity War. And then, or Ragnarok, so it is. And what was the other one? The smashing the glass for the first Thor. Another. Yeah, so there was a few of those, so that would tie in to that theory, I guess.
I don't know. It could honestly be that Disney are basically deciding to put in this filler. Because we got a bit of information about them and stuff like that, but it did feel very much, he said, a bit fillery, a bit like going from point A to point B without any sort of thing. And then at the end of the episode, everything explodes. Also, we noticed that Loki can stop a building with his mind. Apparently,
Yeah.
right? Anyone? Where was that during the fight with Thanos?
I
He tried to
think
stab him with a dagger.
I do think, like, as much as this obviously is just the continuation of the first Avengers version of Loki, we are seeing a different expanded version of him, I think, in the TV show. So I just kind of put it down to that. Like,
Just abilities. I heard another theory as well that apparently, when he was in the TVA, he stole like a time stone, or he stole one of the stones.
well, you could because there was loads of them. So
And that's what basically like he used to stop the building or something like that, or like he has like that kind of stuff. I don't know. Could be entirely wrong, mind you, but there's been so many theories floating about that it could be anything that's right. But yeah, no, that was an interesting thing I saw, and I thought honestly, I said probably the weakest episode so far, but apparently, because I think we're halfway through the series now, we've only got episodes 4, 5, and 6 left. That every episode's a bit different, and we've still got lots to see that haven't seen from the trailer yet.
and I would also say, like, you're allowed one of them. Like, it's fine. One Division's first episodes were kind of slow, and then it got good. So, I mean, for me, Falcon Winter Soldier had too many of those episodes, but not enough happened. But yeah, I mean, there's 3 left, and they'll probably all be good. So,
Fingers crossed, but yeah, so I think general ratings, lads. What would you say? Just an overall or would you say kind of more
just fine, middle of the road, aye.
Fine. I mean, it's enough for me to watch more. It's enough for me to go away and say that was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It piqued my interest, but it's not something I was like, wow. But I take a series as the start to finish.
Yeah,
the full thing. So to base a series on just one show is not really
one episode.
Yeah.
You need to wait to see the whole thing. But yeah, as far as that episode was concerned, I think.
I also think we've been somewhat spoiled by The Mandalorian. Like, The Mandalorian season 2 especially, every episode I felt like just get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And I think now we can expect that for Disney Plus shows.
Even WandaVision as well.
Totally different style though, because he had a mission basically for each episode was a mission, so it was each episode was a standalone show with an arc of the full show, Whereas
you could definitely. I feel like you could show people individual episodes of The Mandalorian, they wouldn't get that confused. They'd be like, "Oh, who's that character?" You'd be able to explain it. But something like Loki would be pure. You'd like, right, you have to watch.
But I just mean more like the consistency of the quality, because the first season of Mandalorian had a few dud episodes, I thought, and it did that thing where like, oh, this one's really good, this one wasn't great. Whereas, I don't know, season 2, I just felt like it better and better, and then we ended with the spoilers, the Luke Skywalker cameo. It was such a good ending, and I think now, I don't know, Falcon Winter Soldier didn't do that, and I think everybody kind of expects that now. Because, I mean, to be fair, they keep telling us, when you watch it behind the scenes, they always keep saying, oh, this is the same production as a movie. This is the same, we're treating this the way we treat a movie. So you expect the same standards. Do you know what I mean? The audience goes in expecting the same. They don't expect, like the Netflix shows, and I suppose the CW shows, if you want to really lower the bar, you don't expect, I don't think you expect as much for them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a different level of quality. Disney ones, that might be the premium Disney money. Do you know what I mean? The big budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Are we good, Mass? Do you want to talk about anything else?
I think we're done for today's episode. That was the last topic that we kind of covered, and I feel like, I think we've done everything we've actually done. I think you can obviously find us on social media on Facebook at BGCP Comic Con. We've also got a Facebook group for the podcast as well, which is BGCP Disassembled Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter under the same handle of at BGCP Comic Con, where we post links to all the articles, podcast links, general kind of stuff about information about toy and comic mart dates as lockdown eases across Scotland. And you can find out all the latest news, reviews, comic book interviews, and also, as we said before, toy mart dates on the official website, which I believe is bgcp.co.uk or .com. Ian's going to kill me if I don't know that, but .com. You could search it up and you'll find that stuff, including interviews with such as our podcast host here, David Cranna, and also I believe a review of his first one of his book, Glass City. and also Dan's Gandaroon series, and also lots of news articles about the previous coverage of E3 that has just taken place.
Everything that we mentioned this week, like Shazam and Spider-Man, I'll have reviews in the comments.
Or
in the
reviews,
description.
Articles, all that kind of stuff you can find in the comments below. I've been your host, Massimo, and I've been joined by these two lovely gentlemen. And I hope that everyone has a great week. And hey, see you on the next page.
Thank you for listening to Disassembled. You can find more news and reviews on BigGlasgowComicPage.com. And don't forget, you can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube as BGCP Comic Con. Make sure you also subscribe on your podcast provider of choice for new episodes every week.